Disney's attempt to retheme the legendary log flume dark ride hybrid in Splash Mountain with Tiana's Bayou Adventure has had no shortage of both criticism and controversy. From the lackluster next chapter story to the extended downtime and constantly failing audio animatronics, the ride has been nothing short of a Disney disaster. And now, when you thought things couldn't possibly get any worse, it seems that one featured character is having a particularly rough go of it, both inside and outside of the infamous attraction. Let's talk about Louis the Alligator literally shedding his rather dirty skin here on That Park Place.
Louis animatronic, however. Let's talk about this one from That Park Place. The Louis animatronic from Tiana's Bayou Adventure is falling apart in Tiana's Bayou Adventure at Walt Disney World after less than a year. We are talking about the one at Walt Disney World, not over there at Disneyland. Disney's Tiana's Bayou Adventure has been plagued with issues since its opening, and now it's making headlines again, this time for an animatronic literally falling apart. A recent video has surfaced showing Louis the Alligator figure inside the ride with its neck ripped open. I would not be surprised if this is a six-figure animatronic right here. They also have several of them in the attraction. There doesn't seem to be a ton of variation unless you count the one where it's just his butt sticking up. So there's a few of these around, but here we go.
Tiana's is coming apart at the seams, literally. At least this first giant moving Louis animatronic is literally ripping. Its throat is slit. It's highly visible. And like I said, it's kind of the first thing you see once you go inside of the mountain. There was also this really, really loud ringing, almost like a...
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and mute it. There is a loud ringing going on. He says there's something that sounds like a fire alarm or something like that going on this attraction here. Why does Disney have this problem? We've brought in an animatronic expert here to help us understand what's going on. Culture Casino, why is there a giant rip on stage on a what is this, an A series animatronic? I mean,
this is a full size new generation animatronic. It is I'm going to say I told you so very early on in this conversation, because I told you so. But none of these materials were tested to undergo the kind of stress. They hadn't practiced. They hadn't seen the effects that many of the Imagineers that had experience already were familiar with, including when Mr. Lincoln's suit, President Lincoln's suit, continued to rip on the regular. So they realized that they had to build in a little bit of buffer here and there. And again, it's untested material, something that's not used elsewhere. This does have quite a bit of motion to it, and it was always a predictable area. In order to prevent this, usually there's relief points that are placed in costuming for animatronics, where you have some overlap and maybe some gentle rubbing and things like that. None of that was obviously in place for this particular animatronic. And the reason that it looks this way, Jonas, very quickly, is because Disney allows for poor show now. They don't care what the end, the end consumer sees. They don't care what you see anymore. They used to, very much so.
So can I ask you, between the Abraham Lincoln animatronic and now, has there been any significant time passage to where they might be able to anticipate problems like this?
Well, let's see. 1955-ish, they started to use animatronics of sorts. I would say there was a considerable amount of time that has passed. Yeah, I think when you have that much experience with quote unquote robots and clothing, you kind of get a feel for it. I mean, take a look at the Carousel of Progress. There's examples of all different types of clothing where characters are making all kinds of undulations and things like that, and just wild movements, and the clothing doesn't seem to have nearly as much. Now, costuming is regularly replaced on a lot of animatronics. This is something that's done. Regular repair is done. This may not be something that's easily repaired. This may be, because of its nature, not possible to fix easily.
Maybe they could take some of the fabric from a Lewis walk-around character, if there's any left on that. Have you thought about that?
What I think about is the fact that this has been ill-conceived from beginning to end, with no consideration for the environment that this was going to be continually operating in. And because they probably didn't conduct the appropriate materials tests, they didn't know whether or not this would work. Now, interestingly enough, they have characters that are similarly skinned, just not with the same material, that they have lasted for a very long time. But again, it comes down to the fact that this thing does a lot of repeat movements in repeated areas with repeat locations with not relief built in. It's the same.
Speaking of relief, and I hate to cut you off, Culture, but I do want to point out that it does kind of look like costume material from one of their walk around characters, and they are, because it was Mardi Gras this last week here, 2 days ago. Here we have a Mardi Gras post right outside of Tiana's Bayou Adventure. She is still wearing the ride costume here, and not the princess regalia, or even the walking around New Orleans regalia. For some reason, she is wearing the safari costume here. Happy Mardi Gras from Tiana and Lewis. Let's just take a look at this real quick. I'll run it back, and you guys can tell me if you have any observations.
Why, hi there. You know, we've been having a jiving good time with our preparations for this year's Mardi Gras celebration. And we are sure that this one will be the best celebration yet. Well, we hope your Mardi Gras is just the bee's knees.
Well, first of all, I got to say, her movements are very lifelike. But notice anything interesting about Lewis?
His head's not attached to the costume below. It's very obvious. There's relief
That's one
there.
thing.
That's
the
one
other
thing
too is that people were noticing that it's very, very dirty underneath his undercarriage right there, and it's
his
weird.
Costume is filthy.
It's very strange. Some people were saying, well, maybe it's felt or whatever that was brushed the wrong way, but okay, if you're going to make a promotional video, and before you even walk out stage, there usually is a handler that looks you up and down, makes sure that everything is spick and spam, and then you have that character actually walk out on stage. In this case, even if that was the case, that didn't happen, which it doesn't quite look like that.
Yeah, but he does live in the bayou. I mean, he's supposed to be dirty.
I mean, if it's his skin, then it's scarring. It's not like he's a fantasy.
I absolutely had to bounce in here because I'm looking on a lot of these characters in costume. I was like, oh, that's going to fail fast.
I don't think he's supposed to have this range of movement here. And I don't know. I can't tell with the size. Probably a lady based off of the size range here. Of course, I don't know. It's a little bit difficult to tell with the distance. But they seem to be throwing things together. The magic seems to be gone. I'm reminded of the video where they were promoting the ride, and they went to an Imagineer's house, and she was wearing a mask during the ride, and they shot it vertically. And there are a million reasons that a person could be wearing a mask in 2024 when the video came out. But it was an amazing contrast between that and whatever is going on with Epic Universe right now. Like, Epic Universe talks about the wands. Epic Universe talks about, like, by the way, we just wanted to throw out another video to say the park is done, and it's amazing. Whereas Disney is like, well, here's a couple of junk social media posts. I feel like there was a point at which the media relations people at Disney were like, you know what we need to do some more of these relatable posts, and got a little bit away from some of those more highly produced things. And then there might have been a generational change there, and somebody said, you know what, it's a lot cheaper to do these social media posts, so let's just stop doing the big promotional stuff. We'll farm out those big ads that we put on the Super Bowl or whatever. We'll farm those out to somebody else. And then they just stayed with that social media mindset to the point where somebody has an idea and they shoot it and they just put it out and they don't even care anymore. That white glove idea of Disney, I think, is gone.
I think so. Hey, this is definitely thrown together. I mean, don't you, Jonas, when you're visiting Mardi Gras, go in your explorer outfit? Or would it be more appropriate for it to be in a dress? Now, people might say, oh, well, there's no dress to speak of created for Tiana. Well, first of all, she was wearing a gown for years before this safari outfit that you're seeing on screen. But if you're looking for a lore accurate dress, let's say, to the actual attraction itself, they just debuted that as part of Sweetheart's Nights at Disneyland.
Yeah.
So
they could do that, and it would look more Mardi Gras, and it would still be consistent with their failed ride here.
Right.
And Go and Shogi for $4.99. Good to see you, Go and Shogi. These animatronics are so disastrous that they'd have better luck teaching an actual alligator to play the trumpet. You know why it really drives me nuts that Lewis plays the trumpet? I don't know if any of you have ever tried to play the trumpet, but you definitely need lips. You have to have lips in order to make the seal to blow into the mouthpiece of a trumpet. And alligators don't have those, but it is a cartoon. So,
but Disney doesn't like lips. I mean, didn't they just cancel a bear that had lips?
Liver lips. Yep.
Thanks for watching That Park Plays News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.